As dawn breaks and the sun creeps down the cliffs, gradually clearing away the early morning mist, we are able to behold one of the natural wonders of the world, the Grand Canyon. More often it is viewed from above, but to experience the true majesty of this wilderness, one must get to the heart of it, down to the very river itself, the Colorado, the raft that has cut its way down through a mile of stone and is still cutting. We can see and touch the beauty of the flowers and cacti that exist here. One of the most arresting features of the canyon plants is their sparse yet perfect distribution, like a Japanese garden. The relationship of the plants to each other is a matter of great delicacy. Waterfalls, beautiful as they are only some of the discoveries to be made in the canyon. Within these red walls exist innumerable little worlds, surprising worlds, and hundreds of hidden paradises. And these are what we are going to find for ourselves. The only way to do this is to join a party like ours and travel down this mighty river on a rubber raft. And for safety, these rafts must go in pairs, each carrying about 15 passengers. The rafts are ready and waiting, and all we have to do is to see that the ammo boxes are securely fastened, because it is in these that we will keep our precious cameras and films safe and dry. A few words of advice from our leader. A few fond farewells, and we are soon on our way. The rafts are driven through calm water by the outboard motor. Each raft must carry 2 spare ones. Once we start, there is no turning back, and no chance of any spares for the next 300 miles. Yes, the Grand Canyon is nearly 300 miles long, a mile deep, and as much as 18 miles wide. All of it has been carved out by erosion, by the river Colorado, and the subtle but powerful forces of snowflakes, raindrops, and air. To get from one side to the other, even by the shortest road, one must drive more than 200 miles, for the Grand Canyon is one of the most formidable barriers on Earth. The air is warm and still, but as the day wears on, it will get very hot indeed, so we must see that the drinks are kept cool. Due to the extreme heat in the canyon, the loss of moisture through breathing and perspiration is so fast and extreme that we must also drink from the river as much as 10 to 12 pints a day. This is the month of May, but in February there may be as much as 12 feet of snow up there on the rim, where signs of it can still be seen, making us realize that we are a mile below. There are not too many campsites in the canyon, at least for groups as large as ours. There are 30 of us. So we pull ashore for the night on a sandy beach just below the rapids. For miles the walls plunge directly into the river. Elsewhere the narrow ledges and talus slopes along the water's edge are too rugged to permit many people to lie down. And in other places a shelf of sand, comfortable above water level at dusk, maybe a foot submerged by dawn. So we are glad to find a spot like this. As soon as the waterproof bags with our sleeping bags and things are safely ashore, the welcome evening meal is prepared. It may not look very appetizing, but how good it both smells and tastes in the balmy evening air. Some of us can hardly wait to enjoy it. A very strict watch is kept on all litter. Nothing must be left behind. Tins are flattened to take up less space, as these and all other indisposable things are taken back with us to be disposed of at the end of the trip. Under no circumstances must they be thrown into the river. Driftwood and other bits and pieces are collected to keep our fire going. In the absence of artificial light, the rhythm of our lives becomes once again keyed to the turning of the earth. The beauty of the canyon takes hold of us, and we begin to be absorbed in it. But morning comes very quickly, and at the first light of dawn, we are getting ready for another day's adventure. Physically, this 10-day river journey is just as rough, and the living just as austere as the gorgeous beauty. But the rigors become endurable and even pleasant. By the time we have ended this journey, we have all made still another discovery. We have learned how little comfort one really needs to be content. Inevitably, we think of those who first explored the river. Only 100 years ago, a one-armed man called John Wesley Powell, accompanied by 9 other men, were the first to voyage down the then unknown Colorado, traveling the entire length of the canyon in small wooden boats. The trip was a notable triumph, but 3 men died, unable to face the terrors of the rapids any longer. They said farewell to Powell and tried to climb out of the canyon. As there is a good supply of driftwood here, we take some with us, just in case there is none at an otherwise good campsite. As we speed down the river in the warm morning sun, our skipper has no need to warn us that we are approaching a rapid. We can hear it. So it is most important to keep our precious camera equipment dry in the red ammo boxes. The river's boom is associated with a pervasive uneasiness, which never leaves us while we are camped within the cliffs of the canyon. This uneasiness is not the reflection of a queasy stomach, for in fact the dry air, the sun-dappled water, and the intense color tend to give us a feeling of exhilaration. No, this uneasiness is a subdued but undeniable cold fear which never departs. The coldness of the river is not the main reason why voyagers approach it with caution. In the 300-mile length of the Grand Canyon, the Colorado drops over 2,000 feet with more than 150 rapids. Small wonder many white-water boatmen regard it as the roughest navigable river in the world. But those of us who used a camera through the rapids often had to pay the cost. The shapes within the canyon, viewed at different times, seem to be moving. Its crags and buttresses have an awesome Gothic look. This is nature's architecture, and the stone in the lower walls is often very dark, almost black. This is the lowest of all stones in this 2,000-million-year-old schist. The gorge never closes into claustrophobic narrowness. There are long stretches where it is impossible even to land by boat. In fact, all things considered, the bottom of the Grand Canyon is a very bad place in which to become ill or to have an accident. Radio transmitters are of no use in a mile-deep stone gorge. The chances are slim that distress signals set up on the river bank will be noticed by planes flying far overhead. So the possibility of injury or illness in the canyon is bound to cross everyone's mind who ventures down the Colorado. This is a one-way trip with no turning back on the 300 miles that will take 10 days. And there is no way of climbing up the wall of the gorge. In a few places, human skeletons or remains mummified by the dry air have been found. Presumably all that is left of prospectors unable to climb out of the gorge after their rafts or boats, which brought them down the river, broke up in the rapids. There are many side canyons to be explored. We often found Beautiful little grottos bordered with ferns and flowers, at the bottom of deep, twisting slots where narrow shafts of sunlight fall only at midday. The air is cool and fresh and full of the sound of waterfalls. The extraordinary combination of colors, the red cliffs and the bright green vegetation, the turquoise water and the blue sky, create an effect that is both beautiful and eerie, like painted scenery. The flowers are incredibly beautiful, and although we do not pick them, we hope to capture them on film. The two rafts must carry sufficient supplies of food for 30 hungry people for 10 days. And from the amount that was eagerly consumed at each meal, it was amazing how it lasted out the entire trip. There was little left for those who wasted time trying to make a film of it. The canyon itself was still not completely mapped as late as 1971. But we had our own map, which showed the main side canyons and where the worst rapids occur. And from this we knew we must now prepare for some of the worst yet to come. We take things easy, relax, and wait for our companion raft, for we know without being told that we cannot be far from one of the larger rapids. We can hear the roar of the water. A leisurely journey down the Colorado through the Grand Canyon is one of the loveliest journeys anyone can make. But one must never forget that the canyon, like any wilderness, can kill as easily as it captivates. Fortunately, this wilderness does not often kill people who have a proper respect for it. So we wear our life jackets at all times. Alternating with the rapids, there are deep pools where the gradient of the river is gentle, as it is here, where we prepare to tackle some of the fiercest rapids of the whole journey. So, after final instructions which really amount to hold tight no matter what happens, we're off. But the thunder of the river has accompanied us every day throughout the trip and lulled us to sleep at night. It could be ignored, pushed aside into some recess of the mind and forgotten. But at the end of the trip, as the raft floats out onto still water and the river fades back in space and time, all at once it is missed, and we realize it is all over for this time, at any rate, and we must say goodbye to the friends we have made and promise each other that we'll meet again. For the moment we are filled with regret, nostalgia, and wish we could be back again in the turmoil and activity of the Grand Canyon.